Welcome to On My Way to Wealth, the podcast where busy Gen Xers can learn financial tips as they navigate life on their way to wealth. And now, please join your host, Luis Rosa.
This episode is brought to you by Latin Excellence. Visit latinexcellence.com. That's Latinx, CELLENCE.com or latinxmovement.com to learn more and shop our merchandise. You are excellence. Hello and welcome to another episode of On My Way to Wealth. My name is Luis Rosa and I'm your host. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you're happy, healthy, and safe. Today, I want to talk about 5 spooky money habits to avoid. Number 1, I'm going to get right into it. Failing to pay yourself first. You might have heard me mention this before in other podcast episodes. We are creatures of habit, right? And I find that unless we make an intentional effort to do something, nature is just going to take its course. Life will happen. Life will get in between our goals. So failing to pay yourself first is pretty big. And let's talk about what that means, really, right? What does it mean to pay yourself, right? Because normally most of us work for somebody else, or even if we're self-employed, right? We draw some sort of salary or revenue from our company or from our paychecks, right? Well, here's what happens. If you take your take-home pay after you've paid taxes on your money, and then from there, you pay your bills, right? Like we all do, and then expect to save what is left after you spent, you're very likely going to encounter something that's going to pop up that's going to take away from those funds that you intended to save. It might not be all of it, but it might be a significant amount. So paying yourself first is doing in reverse, quite the opposite. It's kind of like taxing yourself. I always like to use this example. Imagine that Congress passed a new law and tax brackets went up tomorrow. And as a result, you're going to get more taxes taken out of your paycheck, which will decrease your take-home pay. What would you do? There's not really much you can do in terms of how much money you're going to get, right? So in general, right, you would then just deal with it and learn to live on less, right? Now, I know that immediately sounds like, okay, I don't want to be sacrificing. But here's what happens. What I mean by that is do the reverse. Instead of spending and then trying to save what's left, actually save first and then figure out how to structure your money so that you then pay for your bills and spend accordingly after you've saved. So make yourself a priority is what I mean by paying yourself first. Now, a lot of people fail to do that. So in other words, as soon as you get paid, make it as if it was a tax on yourself or a bill and say, you know what, if I'm going to save $200 a month, this is going to be like a bill. And that $200 a month is going to go and get saved before I start paying any other bills. Because if I do it the opposite way, life will happen. And there's always something that's trying to get the attention of your dollars. So if you're not intentional about it, that attention is going to go elsewhere. So be sure to give every dollar a destination. And one of those has to be paying yourself because your future self will thank you for it. Number 2 is not investing in yourself. We always hear about people investing in stock market and real estate markets and cryptocurrencies and so on. But a lot of times I feel like we fail to invest in ourselves. Now, an investment in yourself doesn't mean that you need to necessarily spend money. This could be investment of time, that you can dedicate to things that matter to you. Number 1, your physical, mental, and emotional health is very important. Right. So that may mean taking literally a 5 to 10 minute break, downloading a free app for meditation and just having some time alone with your thoughts. It may mean going for a walk on your lunch break, or after work or beforehand. It may mean working out at home. It might mean reading for 20 minutes a day, something that maybe you've wanted to do for a long time that you just haven't done because life gets in the way and you're so busy, right? So think about, is there a new skill that you want to learn? And if so, how can you learn it? There might be some free tools online that you might be able to do. There's a ton of YouTube videos out there, a lot of YouTube channels with great informational content. There's great podcasts out there that might be of interest to you based on what you're trying to get accomplished. So investing in yourself doesn't necessarily mean spending money on yourself. There's a lot of things you could do for yourself to improve yourself, your knowledge, your skills, make yourself more marketable. Let's say that you are really unhappy with your job right now. What are you doing about it? Aside from complaining about it, which is a natural thing to do, but maybe there's something that you could do about it. Maybe you can reinvent yourself. The pandemic brought a lot of terrible things to people, but it also brought a lot of opportunities. Some people decided to then just reinvent what they were doing and say, you know what, I no longer want to do what I was doing before. I'm going to take this as an opportunity to, just make my skills better and make myself more marketable in a different field. Maybe starting a side hustle. Maybe, even if you do like your job and you're not making enough income, maybe there's a way that you could start doing something that's a passion of yours that you can turn into some extra dollars. And, it doesn't necessarily need to be thousands and thousands of dollars. If you're doing something that's bringing you an extra $200 a month, I mean, that's $200 a month that weren't there before. That's $2,400 a year. And you invest that with compound interest, that can make a big difference into your future, right? For your goals. So just think about investing in yourself in ways that don't necessarily mean money. But you know what? If you have the money and some of those investments in yourself do require it, then by all means. This could be taking that overdue vacation. Because of the pandemic, a lot of us have not traveled in a while. Maybe now you may feel more comfortable. Maybe you could do it differently. You could do a staycation perhaps, or you could do something that you're more comfortable with. Think about that. We all need that time to recharge the batteries and just get away from it all, and then get back into it so that you can get back and give from a position of strength, right? So that you're all taken care of internally, both mentally and physically. So don't forget to invest in yourself. Number 3, not contributing to your 401k. I often have a conversation with people where they say, if you ask people, what is the largest purchase you think you'll ever make? A lot of people say it's their house, which, yeah, that may be true. In terms of writing a check, the biggest thing you might finance might be a home purchase. But I like to say your retirement is actually the biggest thing you're going to finance in your life. And the reason I say that is because if you think about it, for most things that we need in our lives, if they're large purchases and we don't have the funds to buy it out cash, or maybe we choose not to because of interest rates or whatever, typically there's a method of financing something. You need solar panels, you can finance them, right? You need a car, you can finance it. You need to send your kids to college, you can finance it. You need to buy a house, you can get a mortgage and finance it. But that I know of, there's not a retirement loan out there yet, right? Nobody's going to lend you money for you to live on during retirement, So we need to start saving today for our future self. A lot of us are not in a position where we're going to have a job that is going to provide us with a pension. There are still jobs out there that do provide pensions, but they're fewer and fewer in between, and even if they do, it doesn't mean that the pension is going to be enough. So one of the things that you need to consider is, okay, if my pension and or Social Security is not going to be enough to live the kind of lifestyle I want to live in the future, then I need to start saving money now so that when I do get to that point, I can supplement my lifestyle from the assets that I've gathered myself. One of the great ways of doing this is investing into your retirement plan at work. A lot of people that get 401ks are not taking advantage of the fact that their employers might offer a matching contribution, and in essence, they're leaving money on the table. If your employer says, look, we'll give you 50 cents for every dollar you put in, up to 3% of your salary, then, by putting in 6%, for example, then you're going to get the 3% match that they're offering, right? Depending on how it's structured. But ultimately, you want to make sure that you're familiarized with the plan document for your 401k or any type of retirement plan. See if the employer matches. If they do, at the very least, contribute enough to get that match, because you literally are leaving free money on the table, right? So That's one of the things that I do with my clients as a financial planner is make sure that they understand the retirement plans at work and take advantage of anything that might be offered by the employer. So think about your future self. How are you going to finance your lifestyle? We are currently living longer and longer, thankfully, because of modern technology and people are just living longer in general. So, if you retired, even traditionally at say the age of 65, you may very well live to 95. That's not unheard of. So you're talking 30 years, and some people want to retire even sooner, especially now with the FIRE movement, the financial independence, retire early. People are looking to retire even sooner than that, which means that they're going to need money for like 40 years or more during retirement. So imagine the kind of money you need to save up in order to supplement your lifestyle. Obviously, you might not need all the money from the money you saved. You might have other sources of income like pensions or, if you had a 401k at work, et cetera. But the more you save now, the less you need to save for later, right? So make sure you take advantage, that you understand the retirement plan at work. And if you're in a position to, definitely take advantage of it. If you're not in a position to, then you got to get yourself in that position too, so that you could take advantage and start saving for your biggest purchase of your life, which is going to be your retirement. Number 4, letting lifestyle creep kick in. A lot of people call it lifestyle creep. I always say that nature fills a void. It kind of, it fills a vacuum. And here's what I mean by that. I've seen people where that like most Americans live paycheck to paycheck. They're not in a position to even withstand like a $400 emergency, right? Now, over time, as they make more money, get salary increases or they, switch careers or, got out of school and now they're making a more substantial salary, that they allow their lifestyle to creep up, to catch up to their new level of income. And in essence, continue to live paycheck to paycheck, even at high levels of income, and no one is immune from this. I've seen people who are doctors and lawyers who make, 6-figure salaries who are still in the same situation. And the reason for that is because a lot of the times we just let lifestyle just creep in, it kink in. And that means, okay, well, I used to drive a $350 a month car. And now I'm just going to buy, a nicer car and pay $850 a month instead. And I'm going to buy a nicer house and so on and so forth, take bigger trips, whatever. Next, you'll find yourself in the same exact situation where there's not enough money to save because you allowed yourself to have a lifestyle that just kind of matches up and raises up to match your new income. Now, there's nothing wrong with treating yourself and making yourself more comfortable and having a better lifestyle. But at the same time, I just want you to be more conscious and intentional about it. So, for example, if you were living on a certain salary and then you get a 3% raise, well, you weren't living on the 3% before. You're used to living on the money before the 3%. So how about maybe you say to yourself, look, I'm going to raise my 401k contributions by 1% if you're not already maxing out, right? And maybe live on the other 2, right? But at least you're being more intentional and going back to paying yourself first, right? And you continues to save and raise both your lifestyle and your level of saving. So, which is why I like to make your level of savings like that as a percentage and not a dollar amount when it comes to raises and things like that. Because then you say, okay, every time I get a raise, I'm just going to raise up the level of savings that I'm doing as well. So then you can feel even more better about treating yourself to a better lifestyle, because then you know that you're covering both angles, right? You know that, hey, I'm saving on one end and I'm also treating myself on the other end, but it's justified, right? So keep that in mind. And then finally is living beyond your means. Number 5. Now, living beyond your means just literally means that you are spending more money than what's coming in. And that usually shows up in the form of things like credit cards. If you have money coming in, and in addition to that, you're borrowing money on credit cards, then that means that you're currently living beyond your means because you're spending more than what comes in. Now, that is even worse than lifestyle creep, because with lifestyle creep, at least you're financing it with your own money and you're not getting yourself deeper and deeper into debt, right? Living beyond your means is even worse, because not only are you not saving any money, you're also putting yourself in a bigger and deeper hole as the years go by. Now, we all need credit at some point. You're going to need to finance something, right? A car, student loans, so on and so forth. But it doesn't mean that you need to carry a balance on your credit cards. So if you are in a current situation where, for whatever reason, you are in need of continuously charging and borrowing to live, then you want to do whatever you can to put a stop to that as soon as possible. And you might be surprised that sometimes, a lot of times when I do budgets with clients, we figure out that there are ways for you to find ways to save money without necessarily having a drastic change in your lifestyle, because you just might not have been aware of certain opportunities that you could take advantage of. And it's just a matter of reallocating your resources and put them to better use, which is why it's so important that you speak to a financial planner, because they might help you uncover those things that you may not see. And these could be things like refinancing your mortgage, for example. If you got your mortgage 5-6 years ago, you're probably paying a much higher interest rate than what the rates are today. And maybe your house went up in value at the same time. So now you might be able to take advantage of refinancing your loan and maybe restructuring some of the debt that you may have, right? That may be an opportunity there. Financial planner can help you determine that. You might be able to refinance student loans as well. Interest rates are very low. If you have, loans that are high rate, it might be a great opportunity right now to restructure that. And some of the benefits could be either to free up some cash flow or to help you get rid of the debt sooner. So either way, these are the kinds of things that you can explore. So be sure that if you are in a situation right now where you are charging money every month on a credit card, and what I mean by that is like actually adding to the balance. It's completely fine if you just pay it off at the end of the month and you're using it for things like rewards and you're managing it properly. It's just a matter of playing the game. It's not, it's one of those things that are sometimes a necessary evil. It's great to build credit using credit cards and so on, but doesn't mean that you need to carry a balance either. So that can get out of hand very quickly. So as a recap, the 5 spooky money habits to avoid. Number 1 is failing to pay yourself first. Number 2, not investing in yourself. Number 3, not contributing to your 401k or retirement plan at work. Number 4, letting lifestyle creep kick in. And number 5, living beyond your means. So be sure that you do not fall to any of these 5 traps. As always, I highly recommend you do consult with a financial planner so that he or she can help you determine where the pitfalls might be and how you can maybe reallocate your resources to build a better future for yourself. So thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to On My Way to Wealth. If you have any questions, please send me an email at luis@onmywaytowealth.com. The information provided here is for information and education purposes only. The opinions expressed herein are solely those of myself, unless otherwise specifically cited. Material presented is believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations are made by my firm or myself about other parties' information or accuracy or completeness. All information or ideas provided should be discussed in detail with a financial advisor, accountant, or legal counsel prior to implementation.